Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be attraction, hit or miss. I got 3 short emails I'm going to go through with you today. 3 different situations that guys are in, and we're going to pick apart their actions and what they said and did to critique their performance. But before we get into it, I have a quote that I wrote that I want to share with you. And it says, the difference between winning and losing is often a matter of not quitting. Most people have dreams and goals in their early 20s. However, usually by the end of their 20s and early 30s, they have given up on their dreams and goals and have adopted a consistent pattern of always settling for less than what they are capable of or want. They settle in their careers, intimate relationships, friendships, and the lifestyles that they lead. Many people eventually wake up and realize that life is going to end someday, and the reality that they are living someone else's life instead of one of their own design and choosing. This often manifests itself as a midlife crisis and one last desperate attempt to shake themselves out of their mediocre lives and back onto the past that they gave up on in their 20s. Otherwise, their destiny is to one day realize that they wasted their lives and their opportunities to become all that they are capable of becoming. So let's go ahead and jump into the first guy's email. He says, hey coach, I've been following your YouTube channel for a few months now and I'm reading your book currently. I've been going through a divorce for almost a year now and she now has a boyfriend. This whole ordeal has made me fearful and insecure about my masculinity and has crippled my ability to date other women effectively. Well, the important thing is that you are actually taking action and you're getting out there and you're dating. Because time and repetition cures everything. Anything in life that you're not good at, you can become good at it by practicing at it, by time and repetition. And obviously noticing the results that you're getting and therefore continuing to adapt and adjust your approach as things don't work out. You should think of life as kind of like one big long process of trial and error. You have an idea and then you take some action. Once you take some action, you get some results. When you get the results, you analyze the results. You notice what's working, you notice what's not working. You do more of what's working, and the stuff that's not working, obviously you stop doing that, and then you make an attempt to do something else or to incorporate some kind of new knowledge, technique, strategy, or action into what you're doing. He says, I recently started dating a girl, and I had an amazing connection with her, and we had a fantastic first date dinner and then drinks at another place afterwards, but no sex. The next time we went to a Mardi Gras ball and we had a blast together. Again, no sex. Notice the pattern? There's no sex there. And he's focused on the fact that he's not getting any sex, damn it. When you're focused on the fact that you're not getting sex and then it's not working out and then you're fearful that it's not going to lead to sex, you usually, without realizing it, subconsciously start sabotaging your goals. I mean, think about how James Bond acts in his movies. And I'm talking about the most recent ones with Daniel Craig because I think he does a brilliant job of portraying this masculine, confident guy who is just amazing and charming with women and also a little bit naughty. He's always thinking from the end. He's always presupposing that it's always going to work out for him. Therefore, he never gets impatient. And especially in his line of work, especially if you're undercover, you can't afford to be impatient. That'll get you noticed and get you killed in the spy business. He says the third date went very well, just drinks, still no sex, he says. What do you think he's focusing on? 2 steps forward, 1 step back. This is what I talk about in my book. And here we are. You were following my YouTube channel for several months, and you're just now reading the book. You had several months to read the book over and over and over and get prepared before you ever met this girl and went out on a date. Success depends upon prior preparation. Without said preparation, there is sure to be failure. That's what Confucius said thousands of years ago. That's good fucking advice. And so therefore, since you don't know the book very well, you're going out on dates, you're completely flying blind, and you're fucking things up. You're not getting laid because you're focused on the fact that you're not getting laid. You got to have a successful strategy to employ, a strategy that you know, and I talk about that and I teach it in my book. But when you're just kind of, after several months, just now starting to read the book, you're already behind the 8 ball. It kind of reminds me of college when I was in calculus, which I happened to drop that fucking class 3 times because I was always putting off my homework. Because doing the homework and then getting stuck on it and realizing I wasn't smart enough to pass that class, that scared the shit out of me. So for me, it was more emotionally painless to blow off studying the calculus and actually applying myself. Because if I applied myself and I realized I wasn't able to pass it, that's like ultimate failure. Because if I didn't pass calculus, I couldn't get my degree. No matter, even if I got all my other classes out of the way. No calculus, no degree. No career, no job, no future. That's the way I looked at it at that time. And so therefore, because people do more to avoid pain than they do to gain pleasure, they put things off. And so therefore, why did I kept failing calculus? Because I was failing to become prepared. In other words, I didn't do the homework when I was supposed to. I'd wait till the last minute, and then when I absolutely had to study because I had a test coming up in a few days, I'd try to cram. I wouldn't be able to do it. And then I just ended up going in and failing the test. And then I would say to myself, all right, well, I can drop that because usually you get to drop like 1 or 2 exams and a lot of classes like that. You know, when you have 6 or 8 tests over the course of the semester, a lot of teachers would let you drop one, or your worst grade, if you will. And so I would always, okay, all right, I can drop the next test too. Then I'll really apply myself, and I never would. If you're not doing it now, you won't do it in the future. It's like Gerald Celente says of the Trends Research Institute. Current events form future trends. I was actually talking to a client today who is the same thing, followed me for a few months on video, just now got the book. He's like, how do I talk to women? How do I ask women out on dates? He's not being successful, and he's been following me all this time. He's in college. The guy's a PhD student, right? I said, what happens if you don't study the book in your class? Well, I'm not going to be successful. I'm going to fail the class. He was like, duh. I said, so if this was a class that you were taking and I was a college professor of yours, do you think with your level of effort you would be able to pass that class? He's like, absolutely not. Common sense. This guy's a PhD student. He's still, I got to get motivated to read the book. Don't you want to be more successful with women and dating and your relationships in general and in life? Hello? So he continues on. I recently started dating a girl, and we had an amazing connection. And we had okay, so basically he's not getting laid. He's not having any sex, right? 3 separate occasions he said, oh, and by the way, no sex. You got to know the book. You got to know the process of seduction. It literally is a step-by-step process. Once the kissing and the heavy petting starts, that eventually leads to the act of having sex. But if you don't know how to handle objections and things that I talk about in the book, then you're going to keep going out on dates and it's not going to lead to sex. And you're not going to know why because you just simply don't know what's in the book. He says, on our 4th encounter, we were partying with friends and my ex and her boyfriend showed up and things were awkward. Why is it that you're on a 4th date, on a group date, and in a place where your ex can show up with her new boyfriend? Hello? You don't go out on group dates. You only go out on group dates with your girlfriend. It takes at least 2 months of solid dating, 7 weeks if you follow everything that I teach textbook-wise, for her to get to a point where she's head over heels in love with you, wants to be exclusive, brings it up first, and you're actually at the point where you're exclusive. Then you can start doing group dates. So here you are in the 4th date. You've probably barely even kissed this girl, and you certainly haven't slept with her, which, you 3 times, there was no sex, you let us know. So now you're putting this girl who's trying to get to know you, who's trying to feel safe and comfortable around you, and here it is, you got your ex and her boyfriend. And it's weird, and you're like a deer in the headlight. Because not only you don't know the book, your things are going around, spinning in your mind, going, I read something on page 25, I know it's there somewhere, and you can't really think what it is. Now then you get full of fear, and then you do and you say the wrong thing. It completely blows a great opportunity just because you weren't prepared. He says, she later that night confessed and said that she was dating 2 other guys and that she was still hung up on an ex-boyfriend in another state. Huh, what a coinky-dink. She then said that it would be best if we didn't date anymore, and I told her it may be best since I don't like competing for her time. I would have just said, it's not that we should not date anymore. It's like, hey, if you want to hang out again, give me a call if you change your mind. But you've pretty much blown it at this point. He says, I feel I may have pushed a little, and here's where he realized what he's really been doing on his dates. I feel I may have pushed a little too far to be more than just casual dating. Come on, man. The woman needs to bring this up. And if you've been following my videos for several months, I know I've mentioned it more than once over the past several months. Just the videos I've done the past several months, because I talk about the fundamentals all the time. So here it is, you're pushing for a relationship, you're pushing for a commitment, and she bounced on you basically. He says, and since then I haven't contacted her. Is there anything I can do to reattract her, or should I just move on and wait for her to contact me again, if ever? You should move on. Never look back means never look back. It means walk and never look back. You were nice enough to take this woman out 4 times, and obviously the 4th was a train wreck. But you were obviously in the previous dates. Remember, you got to love in such a way that the person you love feels free. And so, obviously, from your own words, you're making her feel like she's going to lose her freedom the longer she dates you. And therefore, the likelihood that she's going to want to end up in a relationship with you goes down to the point where literally at the end of your 4th date, she's like, hey, we probably shouldn't see each other anymore. In other words, she's like, okay, I've been out with you 4 times now to know enough about you and to know that I really don't want to date you anymore. In other words, she really liked you at first, and you turned her off because you didn't know what to do. All it would have taken is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Success depends upon prior preparation. Without said preparation, there's sure to be failure. On your 4th date, you opened her up to all the cock blockers that you knew in your life. And obviously your ex and her new boyfriend, that's like the ultimate cock blocker. You're out with this jerk? Oh my God. Let me tell you. Come here, honey. Who knows? The 2 of them could have talked at some point in the evening and said something. You're just not helping yourself out. I made that mistake after I left my wife. I met this girl that knocked my fucking socks off. We'd gone to high school together. Her marriage was on the rocks at the time. And I made the mistake of putting my ex-wife and her together. And it's one conversation. It was never the fucking same after that. It's like she was cold and rude. And, my wife had talked to her. I think they must have talked for at least an hour, hour and a half. And I don't know what they talked about, but I can promise you my wife didn't make me look good. She totally cock-blocked me. Mr. Nice Guy that I was at the time totally fucked that opportunity up for me. That's how I learned. That's one of the ways I learned this stuff, is that I realized that was a bad idea. It was a bad move. And looking at it, thinking about that right now, all those years ago, 18 years ago, whatever the heck that was, it's a stupid thing. I know it now, but I learned it the hard way. So let's get into the second, the first guy's email, there's nothing you can do. You just walk and never look back. If she ever contacts you again, make a date. But I would say there's a pretty good chance you'll never hear from her again. Probably put a fork in that one. So let's get into the second email. This guy says, hey, Coach, I'd really like to thank you for all of the work that you're doing. Well, you're welcome. It's my purpose. He says, okay, my problem is this. I work for a company where I met a girl who's works in the same department as me. I really liked her when I first met her, but she said that she had a boyfriend. We then became friends, and I would text and message her first all the time. This is pretty much how my early 20s went. Meet a girl, really like her. Oh, she's got a boyfriend. I'll just be your friend for a while, and then that'll work out. Really swell for me. He says, last Christmas, she said that she split from her boyfriend, so I said that I like her, but her response was, I don't feel the same. So I said, okay. I've been to her house once, and at work she's playful, and there's touching between us. We continue to be friends, so when I found out that she's now seeing someone else, it pissed me off. I asked her, why do you give others a chance and not me? You're definitely treating her like a celebrity. And that's the problem. Typical Mr. Nice Guy approach. You're going to be patient, just wait in the wings and act like her gay male girlfriend. And then when she breaks up with the guy, then you'll have your shot. All that ends up happening is she hooks up with another dude and you have a bad case of blue balls. I got tired of getting blue balls in my 20s, dude. It's just a bad way to go. You never get anywhere. She said it would be wrong if there is no attraction. True statement. So I don't text or message her anymore, and I try not to see her at work. How can I get her to see me more than just a friend, and how can I show that I'm more than a friend? This completely tells me that you're still in an approval-seeking mindset. In other words, Corey, what do I have to do to prove myself to her? Nothing. Men don't need to prove jack shit. Why? Attraction's not a choice. You have to consistently act in a way that is masculine with women, especially with women that you have romantic interest in. Never, ever, under any circumstances, do you agree to be friends only, or do you hang out as just friends, hoping you can change her mind or cause her to say, oh wow, this guy's really great, I should date him. When you act like a friend, that's basically all that ever happens, is you're always a friend. And you get to watch her go and hook up with some other guy, and then she calls you to tell you about it and how great the sex was, and you got to listen to this shit because you're thinking, oh, but if I just hold out long enough, maybe after this guy, then she'll give me a chance. Next thing you know, she's not with that guy anymore, and she's with some other dude. You're thinking, what happened? It's a bad way to go, dude. Cut that shit out. Don't ever do it again. Walk and never look back. If she reaches out, assume she wants to see you, make a date. Hang out, have fun, hook up. It's that simple. But other than that, put a fork in it, it's done, dude. Because it's like once you have given the woman that impression, once you have communicated that you're Mr. Needy Nice Guy, that's all they view. Because they don't view you as a masculine, romantic potential partner. You're just the friend. So let's get into the third and final email. This guy says, hey coach, this girl that I'm interested, she's 20 and I'm in my 30s. I went out with her 3 weeks ago and we both had an amazing time. She was excited on the date and was very clear that she liked me. Duh. Attraction's not a choice, and this is what happens. A woman likes you, she wants to go out, and you just literally have to not talk her out of it. But if you don't know my book, you're not prepared, you're pretty much going to talk her out of it. He says, she told me about what we do on future dates, like she would cook for me, etc. Later that week, after a few fun texts back and forth that night, the phone is for setting dates. And this is why you don't send several fun texts back and forth, because you think you're being funny and cute and charming, and most of the time you literally end up talking her out of liking you. So when she says what we'll do on future dates, like cooking, etc., that's when you say, that sounds like great. That sounds like a great idea. We should get together and make dinner sometime. When are you free? I'm free on Tuesday night. Great. 7 o'clock, my place. I live at 123 Oak Street. Send it. That's your response. That's your text. And she'll usually just say, that sounds great. I will see you then. She shows up, you go to the store, you buy food together, you buy wine together, you buy tea, coffee, whatever you're going to drink. That's how you handle that. But instead, Mr. Nice Guy is, I got to talk to her a few times. We'll talk for a couple of weeks, and then I'll ask her out again. Or, like what I was doing in my early 20s, was waiting for the girl to ask me, waiting for her to be the man, in essence. We're supposed to be the leaders. So he says, after the few fun texts back and forth at night, so this tells me over the course of several days, he's texting back and forth. Instead of making dates, he's now acting like the gay male girlfriend. Instead of being direct and being decisive and getting right to the point. He says, I text her the next day that I look forward to seeing you again, and I ask her out again via text to a film festival. I asked her to make a decision about picking the film, which might have been a mistake, he says. You think? Women don't want to make decisions. Your job as the man is to create an opportunity for sex to happen by inviting them to join you. Hey, there's a really great film festival this week and we should definitely go. When are you free to meet up? Saturday, 4 o'clock? That sounds awesome. Let's meet there. Here's the address. I'll see you there. And if it's someplace close to where you live, you can say, hey, text me when you're 5 minutes away and I'll meet you there. It's the best way to handle it. It keeps it really fucking simple. So after he asks her to make a decision, in other words, you're asking her to be the man. Right away, a woman who has lots of choices with men, she knows exactly what that means. She knows that you're weak and you're not really comfortable being in your masculinity. Obviously, which is it's going to create the opposite of attraction. He says, she responds, likewise, let's link up again. I would love to see a Mexico flick, but I'm open for anything. In other words, hint, hint, be a fucking man and make a decision. When I'm back home, I'll look at the calendar again. And so let's see if we can spot where he really went off the rails. Well, besides all of the unnecessary texting and not making dates, he says, from then on, I didn't hear back from her and I could never get a hold of her. So he makes it sound like, she never got in touch with me again. And then you'd be going, what did he do wrong? So you have to read a little further to figure out where he really went wrong. Wescally Wabbit. Well, hunting wabbits here. He says, over the weekend, I texted only twice after her radio silence. So in other words, she says, I will look at the calendar again. And remember, a while back, I had a woman that posted, a month or so ago. This is what she posted. I'm going to read it again. And she says, Corey, you are dead ass on with us women. I purposely avoid calling men back right away, and I never call them back when I say to see how they act. If a man shows any signs of being angry or desperate, it is over. It also pisses me off if I tell a man I will let him know when I'm available, and he contacts me before that, which is exactly what this dude is doing. I'm only into males that don't treat me like I'm the best thing that's ever happened in his life. It's a challenge and more exciting and appealing when a guy isn't drooling all over me. I am constantly told I am beautiful, hot, and have gorgeous eyes. I work out, stay slim, and I have long, dark hair and green eyes, and I purposely make direct, prolonged eye contact with men to find out which ones are alpha. I fuck men on purpose to watch them squirm. I now have my eyes on a man who I know likes me and is quite a challenge for us both. He doesn't treat me special, and it drives me nuts, and I want to fuck this man so bad I cannot stand it. The thing is, this man is not good looking at all. In fact, he's overweight and about 15 years older than me, but he oozes self-confidence, which is so attractive. That's pretty fucking obvious right there. And so he says from then on, I didn't hear back from her and I could never get a hold of her. He says, over the weekend I texted her only twice after her radio. It was only twice. Remember what she said. Sometimes it really pisses me off when I tell a guy I'm going to get back to him and he doesn't wait. So if this woman has lots of choices and lots of options and she's got lots of dudes throwing their dicks at her, she tells you, I'm going to look at my calendar. This girl really liked you. You're making yourself look totally fucking weak and pathetic when you text her twice. He says, hey, cover girl, let's get some Molly. I don't know what that is. Wherever country you're from, it must be some kind of meal. And I'm sure somebody will post in the comments what it is. Give me a call. And I later simply texted, he sends a question mark. In other words, and that totally communicates, I'm totally confused. I have no fucking idea what's going on here. And that makes her just go, oh, another one of the guys. Another needy nice guy. Next. So he says, finally, after not hearing from her for 3 days, she texts on her day off at work, Monday, as if nothing had happened. Good afternoon, Mr. Director. I'm saying hello to my day off, finally. Work has been insanely taking up my time. I'm so busy. So busy, I tell you. How have you been? Molly does sound good. Real Molly. Still don't know what the hell that is. But then I call and she doesn't answer. I then text and no response. In other words, Corey, I blew up her phone and act like a stalker. What about being patient, dude? What about waiting for her to get back? Is this how you interact with your buddies? I seriously doubt. If you're trying to make plans with your friends to get together with beers, you're not blowing their phone up like this. Think about it. Frustrated and confused, I let a week go by. A whole week. This happened again the following week. Same scenario. I ask if she's up for Mexican Molly, but I don't give details of where and when. When she texted and reached out, hey, Mr. Director, I would have just simply said, hey, great to hear from you. I'd love to see you again. When are you free to get together next? That's the response, but what did you do? And you just start going back and forth, going around in circles like a dog chasing his tail, and you don't get anywhere. You're just pissed off at the fact that she hasn't asked you out on a date and made plans and been the man in the relationship, in essence. Then he says, she texts me again on a Monday, her day off, and writes, hi. She says, Mr. Molly shall come when it is at perfection with my practice, unless you know a good Molly spot. How's everything been? Feel free to call whenever, today and tomorrow. It's my day off. Whew. He says her text sounded as if she thought I was asking her to cook for me. Well, I can't really... that doesn't really make much sense what you wrote in the email. He says, I call 4 hours later and she picks up with an exclamation point. Like, he's surprised. Oh my God, she picked up the phone. Holy. And you were probably like, oh my God, you finally answered. Huh. On the phone, she's talking while driving and starts to apologize about not being reachable and hoping she doesn't sound flaky. I felt relieved, but instead of telling her how blowing me off was uncool, I merely compliment her about how I love her voice, that it sounded like velvet. You're like fucking just drooling all over the phone now at this point. You should have just simply said to her, hey, great to hear from you. I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together next? I say it over and over and over in my videos, and I say it all the time in my book. He says she sounds flattered. We talk for a few more moments, and then she asks to call me back after she finishes pulling into her driveway. She never called me back. What the hell? Help. That was a week ago. I really like her, but that pissed me off. And she was literally really into me 3 weeks ago, before you talked her out of it by making yourself look weak and needy. There might be another guy in the wings, I hope not. But as I've been listening to your YouTube messages, I have a feeling that you know how I can salvage this thing. You've pretty much talked yourself right out of it, dude. This is what happens. The girl totally was digging him. And look at all the things that he did to make himself look weak. He says, I'm worried, among other things, that the momentum from the first date and only 3 weeks ago is all gone. Pretty much. I stopped texting and calling exactly a week ago, and I've decided to wait it out. Today is Tuesday. It seems like that Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are her days off. Well, if, and that's a big if, she ever reaches out to you again, get right to the point. Don't fucking send 15 texts back and forth going, I really want to talk to you. Get to the chopper. Just simply plan a date with a woman. And when she reaches out, just say, great to hear from you. I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together next? That is all you say to her. Nothing else fucking matters. Keep it really simple, dude, because you are way overcomplicating things. And you totally had a chance with this girl. This is what happens. Attraction is not a choice. Guy meets a girl. Girl likes the guy. Guy likes the girl. They go out. They have a good date. And the guy never gets around to asking her out again because he's just going around in circles, being Mr. Nice Guy. Literally talking her out of liking him and making himself look weak and needy and pathetic by acting like a stalker and acting like the other 97% of the dudes that she encounters that she blows off. So you got to read the book, dude. You definitely don't know it. You don't know the fundamentals, and you're just making a lot of, there's probably 10 mistakes that I pointed out in that short email of yours that you were doing wrong. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.